Hey everyone, welcome to Continuous Thunder. Today we're going to talk about the latest self-titled album from American Football, also known as LP3, out now on Polyvinyl Records. American Football is an indie rock band often grouped in with the Midwestern emo movement, who released an album in 1999, their first self-titled album, but then shortly broke up right after it. This album soon became highly influential, developed quite a cult following in the emo world, and the band eventually did come back, touring for the 15th anniversary for this album, and decided that they wanted to make some more music. This led to the second self-titled American Football album in 2016, and then now, 3 years later, we have the third American Football album. It seems like after that extremely long hiatus, they have come back and they decided that they want to stay together as a band. And I'm actually quite thrilled that they've decided to do that because they've been putting out some really good stuff. The first American Football album was really influential in indie and emo music for a couple reasons. But one of the primary reasons is how it changed emo from a lyrical genre to one where the band tried to evoke emotions from you from the actual feel, the actual sound of the music itself. They did this not only by simplifying lyrics and stripping them down, but by incorporating elements of math rock, but kind of slowing them down and cleaning up the sound and everything, bringing it closer to more of a post-rock sound. And this was, several years before Friday Night Lights came out and everyone was obsessed with explosions in the sky. And like I mentioned, along with this more math rocky feel, lyricist Mike Kinsella, instead of being very specific in the emotional lyrics that he was writing, he made things a little more vague. Yes, he was obviously talking about failed relationships or something along those lines, but he wasn't giving you all the gory details. He was allowing you being taken in by this very atmospheric music to project and to feel the emotions that go along with the story that he's telling. He's not telling you, this person left. And he's not telling you if he's looking back on this fondly or negatively. He's leaving that up to you to figure out and to impart your own meaning upon it. Now, I'll come right out and say it. I'll be honest. When the first American Football album came out, I was way too young. I was not listening to emo music. I wasn't listening to much music actively at all in the first place. By the time I was listening to emo music, it was right at the height of the emo scene in the mid-2000s, with more of the pop-punk emo and everything, with your Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, My Chemical Romance, those kinds of bands. I didn't know American Football was a thing until just a couple of years ago, and I went back and I listened to it, and I was surprised to find how this group influenced a lot of the bands that I was listening to now, and to a lesser degree the bands that I was listening to 15 years ago. Now here comes the third American Football album, and I'm just as excited as anyone else. I don't have to wait another 15 years for the third American Football album. With this third album, the band is moving in a decidedly more mature direction. The second album, by the band's own admission, was a fan service album. It's like they came back and they made the album that they knew the fans were going to want. And now that they've decided to stick around, they're going to become the band that they want to be at this stage in their lives. But this doesn't mean that they're sacrificing the things at their core that makes them American Football. All the things, all the basic building blocks of American Football are still here. You still have your funny time signatures, you still have your rising and falling arpeggios in different tunings. You still have your slightly vague lyrics that allow you to impart your own meaning. The difference is the sounds themselves have kind of matured like a fine wine, and the lyric subjects have moved into a more middle-aged realm rather than the failed relationships and strong hormonal emotions of being a teenager or in your early 20s. These songs cover subjects such as parenthood, There's mentions of death. And in typical American football fashion, you can't really tell if Mike Kinsella is actually talking about someone who died or a now distant lover or friend who might as well have died. There's also a song that touches on the achingly painful alienation and loneliness that you can feel in, the middle years of your life. Publications have said that anyone over the age of 40 can relate to these songs. I'm not there. I haven't even turned 30, but there's no denying the emotional power that are behind these lyrics. Specific highlight tracks for me on this album were the opener Silhouettes that opens with chimes and vibes and then bursts into very lush electric guitars. And it's just a very beautiful song, a wonderful way to open the album. Other highlights are Uncomfortably Numb, that features Hayley Williams of Paramore. It gives a nice little wink and nod to Pink Floyd in the lyrics, and then the trade-off between Mike Kinsella and Hayley Williams is just absolutely beautiful. Another highlight is Heir Apparent, a song that has very beautiful melodic turns in it and some of the best lyrics on there about being unapologetically sorry for everything. And later in the album you get tracks like I Can't Feel You and Mine to Miss that bring the sound about as close to modern indie rock as they dare go. There's more effects on the guitars than would typically be on an American football album. They're a little crunchier, a little dirtier, but they're still not sacrificing the bare essentials of, American football compositions. If I had to criticize something on this album, I would say the tracks can get a little long. Some of the passages are a little repetitive as they go along. And the second track, Every Wave to Rise, is about the only track on here, though, that I wished would end sooner than it did. And that happened to me on a couple listens through this album. So I don't know what it is about it, but it just feels to be the most tedious out of them. Otherwise, I really have no major complaints about this album. It's a very beautifully composed piece of post-rocky Midwest emo. Overall, I give this latest offering from American Football a 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's a very beautifully composed piece of music in the tradition of American football, if you will. Just kind of shifted the focus a little more into the future to a more mature, more middle-aged type, more of a grown-up version of American football, if you will. And it's just a fine piece of nice, adult, atmospheric Midwestern rock. But that's going to do it for this round of Continuous Thunder. Thank you so much for watching. Now I'd like to know your thoughts. Did you listen to this album? Did you like it? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Go ahead and leave all that down in the comments. You can also leave suggestions for the next thing that I should review. Quick reminder that you can now follow this channel on Twitter at CT Music Review. The link to that will be down in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.